December 6, 2016. I'm going to talk about the 2016 Oakland warehouse fire. One of the deadliest building fires in the U.S. in the last 50 years, this is. Let me tell you details I've learned that many media outlets are not mentioning. Local news from the Bay Area and San Francisco are reporting about the importance of the following details I'll talk about. But corporate news like ABC's are just going on a demonizing rampage because that's just what they do best. They'd rather look into the like of the illegal tenant Derek Almina than to actually ask what caused the fire and how can the government, owners, and lease managers work together to create visibility and communication to prevent fires like this from happening. Poverty in the form that I'll talk about causes people to hide things and underlines issues with the lack of affordable housing and carriers and provides barriers for open dialogue and transparency. So the Ghost Ship warehouse fire in Oakland, California caused 36 deaths to date. It was leased as a studio space in the converted warehouse for an art collective, and it was bought by its owner, Jordan NG, in a 1997 trust, and this is just one of her 17 properties. So Chor and her daughter, Eva, obviously had little oversight over the property. They had 17 that they covered. The property was to be managed following their acquisition by Derek Ion Almina, that's his full name. Almina founded the Satya Yuga Collective and sometime later decided to become an illegal tenant. One of the residents, for example, Max Orr, even operated a tattoo parlor and worked at the door to sell tickets for parties that were not approved by the city. And this activity by Max R to work at the door was a demand of Almina for his failure to pay the full rent. So the shady behavior of the owner, the illegal tenant, and the lack of follow-up and full inspection from the housing department are all at culprit here. The warehouse was not approved by the Oakland Planning and Building Department for its use for residential living. Almina was opportunistic and, following financial hardships, became a tenant for 10 people living there. He also lived there with his wife and kids without running water and electricity. It's hard to imagine how Almina was able to hide the illegal activity from both inspectors by the OPBD as well as the owners. But residents have mentioned that he was able to hide belongings and lock the doors, and on 2 occasions inspectors could not access a locked warehouse. There was an established relationship between these inspectors with about 9 complaints for that warehouse since 1998. And you would think that the department or the fire department would investigate the property further and did not follow up on complaints that related to housing habitability. And since November 14th, 2016, there was actually a citation for an illegal interior building structure, and that was not followed up on. It was just put on hold. The director was recently asked for an interview, but he failed to comment on it. The Ghost Ship warehouse also received a complaint on the construction in the structure without permits. That's a citation. That was deemed non-actionable, so they didn't proceed anything from that. The complaints did not describe detail of any of the recognized fire hazards that actually existed. So out of all these 9, most of them referred to hazards that were existing outside of the structure, which seems to show that they weren't considering entering the warehouse as a primary concern, and considered writing complaints for the outside just to be sufficient. I mean, they notice problems, but they should investigate further to see if there's more problems that could be existing, and there were many problems. Eva, the owner's daughter, claims that the building was up to code for all intents and purposes. She claims the building had smoke detectors, fire extinguishers, all that's true, and had 2 second-floor exits, or wooden stairs. But nobody seems to know of that second exit, and there was only one that has been referred to. And she defends that staircase in question, that doesn't necessarily look that rickety to me, but she defends that the staircase that had been the key source of high casualties and was built to code. According to Hamid Beda, the California Building Code prohibits the use of wood for staircases in buildings more than 49 people, and there were probably over 150 people. The staircase didn't have a railing, according to some, and it was like climbing a fort. Someone actually twisted his ankle, one of the survivors that talked about this. The pictures of this staircase doesn't necessarily look that rickety, but maybe the angle in which the pictures have been taken don't fully demonstrate those hazards. Because multiple survivors and residents have come forward saying the staircase is a big culprit to this mass casualty. The 26 people that were stuck on the second floor had reportedly no way of escaping, and they were even knocking on the windows to try to escape. The fire engulfing up in 10 minutes due to a high amount of wood and flammable decorations, that's another big culprit. The roof ended up collapsing on the victims, and even the second floor came down following that. So it was a very fast and damaging fire. Not only was the warehouse a maze of furniture and trinkets, people could not even find the way to exits. Survivors tried to rescue by calling out and providing light for people to follow, but the issue had been that the stairs to the first floor was engulfed in flames. Eva said they were aware of parties. Eva, the daughter of the owner. Almina created the parties to help fund for to pay rent. And no special permits were filed with the Oakland OPPD. These permits would have required that the owner show fire and building inspectors where the exits are, locations for fire extinguishers, and how the building illuminates an emergency. So there were accepted problems within the department with the owner and the tenant. So I'm not sure what kind of criminal behaviors or negligence there were or what would be accepted, but I see that each 3 of these agents or actors could be held liable or responsible in some manner. Thanks.